Okay, NFL aficionado fiend fans, it's time to do a week 3 recap on last week's selections and see if we kept the good times rolling like we did in week 2, or if we fell back to and fell off the wagon and came up a little bit short this week with our predictions. So overall, in straight up picks, I went 10-6. The Ravens losing last night really hurt me. And then who saw the Panthers beating the Falcons? If you put some money down on that one, you did well. But overall, straight up, I went 10-6, so not too bad. And then actually against the spread, I went 8-8. So yeah, so I call that a victory. Definitely staying on the wheel of the deal, and hey, above 500 for the straight up winner. So let's get through it. Basically, I picked, so first game of the week, of course, we had Miami traveling to Buffalo and playing those guys. Basically, I picked the Bills to win, and I did pick them to cover the spread. I was short on that one, so got the straight up victory, but got them covering the spread wrong. I thought Buffalo was going to roll, but Miami came out with a little bit of feistiness and kept Mike McDonald safe with the job this week. So that got that one. So moving on to the second one, you had the Bengals going to the Vikings. I picked the Bengals to upset the Vikings in this one, and boy was I wrong. The Vikings rolled and actually smoked the Bengals. So picked the upset in this one and totally got it wrong. So 0 for 2 on this game right here. Okay, moving over to the Colts and the Titans. You had the Colts going to Tennessee. I did pick the Colts to win, and I picked them to cover the 3.5 spread they were getting, that Tennessee was getting. And yep, the Colts 3-0, undefeated still in the league. And Daniel Jones is playing a very efficient ball. And those of you that have Jonathan Taylor on your fantasy football team are absolutely loving him right now. He had another dominant performance this week in fantasy football, so scoring 3 tubs and helping those guys out. It was such a blowout that Anthony Richardson made an appearance in the game. So got that one. So 2-0 in that one, covered and the deal. Next one, you had the Falcons going to the Panthers. I picked the Falcons to win, but I didn't think they were going to cover the spread, and they got shut out by the Panthers. So here's another one that I got a big goose egg on, because I did not see the Panthers after the way Atlanta beat down Minnesota the other night. I did not see Atlanta losing to the Panthers at Carolina, but boy was I wrong. Carolina came out with a vengeance and spanked those Falcons. So don't really know what we got with the Falcons this year. We'll have to keep rolling. So moving on, we have the Jets playing the Bucks at Tampa Bay. I did pick the Bucks to win in this one, but I did not pick them to cover that 7.5 points they were getting. Really like that, especially with all those injuries to their offensive line that were showing up. So got the win with the last second field goal, but correctly called not covering the spread on that one. I thought 7.5 was too rich for the Jets, even though both teams are banged up right now. So moving on to what I thought was the lock of the week. I did not see this happening, but we had the Packers traveling to Cleveland, and though Cleveland has a good defense, I did not think they were on the Packers level. But lo and behold, they are on the Packers level. They gave the Packers their first loss of the season and really showed some kinks in the armor. Well, Green Bay's lost some offensive linemen, so their offensive line is really hurting. But basically, Cleveland proved they had a better offense. They'd probably be threatening right now for a wild card. That defense is for real out there. I've heard it named a few times saying that they might have the best defense in the league right now in Cleveland, which is sad, being their offense is so bad that they won't get the credit they deserve for being such a good defense this year. But anyways, so Packers took it on the chin this one, 0-2, because I thought the Packers were going to wax the Browns, but apparently the Browns have a good defense. So 0-2 on this one, gentlemen, or ladies and gents. Moving on to the Steelers going to New England. Didn't have a whole lot of faith in the Steelers, but had way less faith in the Patriots. So I picked the Steelers to cover and win this game, which they did both. The Pats were only getting 1.5, and I think Pittsburgh won 21-14 in this game. So again, not a great showing by either team. The Steelers defense showed up, gave 5 turnovers, so I had them in fantasy football. I know you enjoyed that. But overall, Steelers beat the Pats, so I don't think there was a whole lot of surprise there. Next one, we had the Texans playing Jacksonville. Texans were getting 1.5 in this game, but I thought Jacksonville was going to win and cover the spread, which they did. So got 2 Got two big ones there, calling that one correctly. The next one I had was looking good for about two and a half quarters. I was looking really good on this call. Rams going to play Philly. Rams are actually getting 3.5 on this, which I thought was way too much. And basically was gonna get the win. And then Philly turned it on, and not only did they win the game, but they also covered the point spread with Jordan Davis running that big block kickback for a touchdown. So anybody that picked the Eagles in that one, boy, whoo, I know you had a great Sunday when watching that big dude run down the field at 18 miles an hour to get that cover-saving touchdown. So, okay. So 0-for-2 on that one. Well, I picked the Rams beating the Eagles, so I picked the underdog and I lost on both accounts. So moving on, had the Raiders going to see Washington. This one got me a little confused. They got me hurt too. I thought the Raiders would come out a little angry after that goose egg they laid up on Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football against the Chargers. And Jaden Daniels, I thought was going to hurt the offense, but the Commanders came out, laid 41 on the Raiders. So. Picked the underdog and lost that one as well. So, that's another big one I missed out on this weekend. So, Broncos at the Chargers. Broncos getting 2.5, which kind of shocked me, but it was at the Chargers place, so I could get the 2.5. And I picked the Chargers to win, and I picked them to cover. And boom, the Dicker, Mr. Herbert got him tied, and then Mr. Dicker, the kicker, popped that thing on through. So gave me the boom, got a call both on that one. So. Big ups on those of you guys that have faith in the Chargers and believe that this wasn't a fluke incident. And man, Denver's got some problems this year. Bo Nix is showing a sophomore slump to where I hope Mr. Sean Payton can get it figured out, because Bo Nix is sadly disappointed with the way he's playing this year. He may not be that guy that we thought he was in his rookie year. It always happens though, guys. When teams get game tape on a guy, especially a year's worth of game tape, they can see what his tendencies are, and they can really dissect them. And the good ones, the Mahomes, the Allen, Hurts, I'll even put him in there. They elevate and they learn how to beat the schemes that teams are trying to get them once they are provided game tape, and teams can see what they're good at, what they're not good at. So, anyways, all right, moving on. Saints going to Seattle. Seattle absolutely just beat the dog mess out of them boys. Man, New Orleans is trying, but they just ain't got no players. I feel bad for those guys. They really are trying. They don't show a lot of quit, but they just ain't got no talent out there in New Orleans right now. So pick Seattle to win and cover, which they did. Saints get 7.5 in that game. So another one I got called right. Okay, next one. This one I called the winner, but I did not get the point coverage because it was only a 1-point win. So Cardinals going to 49ers. Don't trust that that Cardinals team yet. Offense hasn't been great. Defense hasn't been good. So I think they're winning, but they haven't shown a whole lot of impressive stats. And the Niners, man, they're getting by on blood and guts, dude. Bubblegum, duct tape, safety bob and pin. I mean, Kyle Shanahan can't coach a playoff game or win a Super Bowl. My God, is that dude an awesome regular season coach. Got these Niners to 3-0. Unfortunately, Nick Bosa tore his ACL, so he's out for the rest of the season. I think that's going to hurt that defense a whole lot worse than anybody believes. But, hey, congratulations, man. Niner fans, you have earned this 3-0 victory, so congratulations to you guys. So, called the straight-up winner, but didn't cover the point spread, being it was just a 1-point win. But, again, way to go, 49ers. So the next one, Cowboys going to Chicago. I think the game would have been a little bit different, more of a shootout had CeeDee Lamb not got injured. But basically, once he got hurt, I don't think the Bears respect George Pickens, and so they just basically said, "Hey, throw to Jake Ferguson all you want, but he ain't gonna get nothing." And then Dak started throwing some picks at the end of the game. But anyways, the Bears were getting points. They were the underdog in this game, so I picked them to win. So boom, got them out the gate. So good job. Caleb Williams, man, loved you. He had 4 touchdowns. You're starting to see the promise of that offense that Ben Johnson brought from Detroit. Man, I think by the end of the season, man, the Bears are going to be tough to be reckoned with. And if they sneak in as a wild card, they may do some damage out there in the NFC. But they still got a little ways to go. But it was a nice showing from Caleb Williams, getting those 4 touchdowns and beating up on them sorry Cowboys. Cowboys fans, if you better hope CD don't go out for multiple weeks, which I think he is. I think he's going on the IR and he's going to be hurting. So Cowboy fans, I predicted a 5-12 season for you guys this year. The Giants were my one win in your first 3 games. I anticipated you beating the Giants, but I thought you were going to lose these two to the Bears and Philly. And yeah, so but CD go out, and that was with Micah playing a part of your team, and CeeDee Lamb not being out. But if CD goes out, Micah's not there. Whew, man. I basically, yeah, so just so you guys know, I took every team against the Cowboys for $20 this year. I got a Cowboys fan down here who swore the Cowboys were going to go 13-4 this year, go to the Super Bowl. So I said, I'll take that bet. I'll take everybody you play. And yeah, looking very good for me. So just straight up winners and losers. We pay out at the end of the season, but I got $20 against every Cowboy opponent. And so far, so good on that bet on me. So anyways, moving on to the Chiefs and the Giants. I watched this game, and I'll be honest, Russell Wilson sucks. They need to bench him, which I think right before I made this video, I saw they are going to bench him. That thing against Dallas was a fluke, but he's trash. Had they had a competent quarterback in that game, I think they would have actually given the Chiefs a much harder game than they did. I mean, it was really a game. And it probably should have been going into halftime. It should have been the Giants winning that game at halftime. But the Chiefs prevailed. They came out from halftime. Man, they figured some things out. That Tyquan Thornton kid is starting to come alive. So Chiefs won, and I did predict them to cover because the Giants were getting 6.5 points. But much as I don't like the Chiefs, there was no world that I could earthly fathom the Giants beating the Chiefs, even though it was at the Giants. Okay, that just wasn't going to happen. However, when it was 9-6, I was very excited because I really wanted to see a 0-3 Chiefs team and see Nick Wright on first things first, how he was going to defend that with the Giants losing to the Chiefs. That would have been awesome. So, anyways, got that one right there. So, all right, moving on to the last game. Lions getting 4.5. Going against the Ravens. Now imagine after what we watched last night in that game. I picked the Ravens to win, and I picked them to cover the 4.5 spread. I thought they were going to beat the dog snot out of them. Maybe a little bit of a high-scoring game, but as far as actually winning the game, I thought the Ravens were going to handily do it. They looked like a team that was ready to roll. Again, in that offense, I didn't see anybody really slowing that offense down, but wow, what a difference make. And Derrick Henry's on a roll, a fumble on the ball. Man, I don't know what's going on with that guy. He was a stud, but I'm really impressed by Detroit, man. I mean, that offense is clicking now. That defense is starting to play. I mean, they were after Lamar last night. I think they got 7 sacks. And when the parts I watched the game, Lamar looked visibly frustrated by whatever that defense was doing. I tell you what, that Kelvin Shepherd kid, I believe he used to be a linebacker for Buffalo. I know he was a linebacker in the NFL, but if he continues to make this defense play the way he does, Dan Campbell's going to be looking for a new defensive coordinator probably in the next 2 or 3 years because they are balling on that side of the deal. Adrian Hutchinson looks completely recovered from the leg injury. And just that offense too. Sonic and Knuckles, man. David Montgomery, man. I mean, he's the boom. They've got it working. Probably the best 1-2 punch in the NFL for running backs, bar none. And Garrett Goff seems like he's on a mission after that terrible week 1 he had against Green Bay. That he's out to prove that, man, he's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And working towards a top 5 destination if he keeps playing like this and they keep putting on these bad points on these teams. Because, I mean, the team we saw in week 1, completely different team we're seeing play now. I mean, literally. In fact, I'm starting to buy the hype. I heard this from a bunch of people after week 1 that basically week 1 of the NFL is now a preseason game, week 4 preseason game basically, because the team hasn't played. So you really got to see the team get together. So a lot of teams, hey man, we're discombobulated, we're not syncing, and then basically like around the 3rd, 4th quarter, you see it start to come together, and then week 2, okay man, now we've got a whole game together. Week 3, you're going to start seeing it roll, and those really good to great teams are going to start to separate themselves from the pack. I clearly think Detroit now is definitely in the top 4 the NFC teams, and so as everybody knows, I've been Bills, Chiefs, Ravens, and Philly were my top 4 teams. Rams were sneaking around there, but basically now I've got Detroit. I've got as a 5th team in there with just the way they're playing. I mean, they handled Baltimore last night in Baltimore. You know, I know Baltimore had a couple players missing, but they handled Baltimore last night. And anybody that watched that game, you can't come away saying that, oh, Baltimore. No, it was a straight up, I mean, box 12 round fight between 2 heavyweights, and you could see the Ravens blinking. You know, come second quarter, come third quarter, fourth quarter, you could see the Ravens blinking, man. They were getting punched in the mouth, and they did not know how to respond. They're used to being the bullies on the field, and I think Detroit just took it to them and said, "Nah, you ain't nobody. We ain't scared of Derrick Henry. We gonna put a whooping to you." And now we see how they respond, because guess what? Now you got a very interesting game setting up next week in Week 4 between Kansas City and Baltimore. Because if KC somehow beats Baltimore, now KC is down. Now Baltimore is down to Buffalo and KC in the deals. Baltimore's 2-2. And KC's 2-2, so technically they would be over top of Baltimore in the standings. So, anyways, all right. So that's the week 3 recap. We'll give out the Week 4 predictions probably Thursday morning. Want to let the spreads come out, things like that. So, anyways, continue on the good mission. 10-6 straight up, 8-8 versus the spread. Let me know how you did. Did you put some Django in your pocket? Did you have to sell something to cover your bets because you didn't get it covered this week? Let me know how you did. And always, guys, it's a pleasure. And we'll talk again soon. Bye.